Ian, what's the likelihood of Donte DiVincenzo coming to the Knicks right now?
I think it's high. I think if the money is, equal or close with DiVincenzo and other offers he'll have on the table and the Knicks offer, I think he would end up choosing New York. My assumption would be in part because of the ability to play with his old college teammates in Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. And so I think DiVincenzo is probably going to meet with several teams here at the start of free agency, maybe the first day or two of free agency, including the Knicks. And so I wouldn't expect a speedy decision from DiVincenzo. But if you look at what's happened over the last 24 hours or so here, Josh Hart opting into his deal, $13 million for next season, as opposed to testing free agency, that giving the Knicks more money to work with under the luxury tax and giving them the opportunity to spend more of that mid-level exception on a player if they choose to do that. And that's where I think things fit with Donte DiVincenzo. But, Detroit is one of the teams with interest in Donte. They could have some cap space to spend on an offer for DiVincenzo. The Knicks would not have cap space. They would have that exception to offer, as would Minnesota and Chicago, other teams interested in DiVincenzo. So interesting to see how it's going to play out. I don't bet, but if I was a betting man right now, I'd probably place money on DiVincenzo to the Knicks.
Okay, Ian, so you're saying you're not expecting a speedy decision from DiVincenzo, but Steve, what's your intel on DiVincenzo and the timeline for his decision?
Well, I heard the same thing as Ian, that he's going to meet with 4 teams over the next 2 days via Zoom. So they're going through the process. Look, as we're sitting here right now, you can see the guys who are signing. Somehow it just opened at 6:00 and guys have immediate deals in place. A lot of guys return to their own team. I think with something like this, there's 2 factors here. One, DiVincenzo, Bruce Brown, guys like that have not had the opportunity to cash in before. And I think they want to do that. They want to explore the market, see, as Ian said, when we're talking mid-level exception, if somebody can go over that, I think that he's got to consider that now, because this is sort of the first time in their career for these guys to strike while their value is high. To me, I think there's a couple factors here. I think it's that DiVincenzo on, doing his due diligence, but I think the Knicks too are also kind of moving pieces here. We talk about the Obi move. They're trying to clear cap space that way. And I think the Knicks are still trying to be active players in the trade market. So they want to keep their flexibility. If they were signed to DiVincenzo today to say a $12 million contract starting salary with that mid-level, that really restricts them. It's going to hard cap them. It's going to take away the kind of the moves they can make on the trade market. I think that seeing the way teams are dumping expensive contracts, and being that the Knicks have some bait in that with the Evan Fournier expiring deal, I think they want to kind of go through this and see where this falls. And as much as Donte DiVincenzo is a great fit on paper, and I think that is probably the most likely scenario, I don't think they want to get Donte DiVincenzo at the risk of, we could have had Paul George if we just waited. So I think that's kind of what they're at now, is trying to see where these trade pieces fall.
Yeah, it's a great point there. Jay, how would you feel about a DiVincenzo deal with the Knicks? You talk a lot about the history and the chemistry with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, but how would you feel about him coming to New York?
As a feel-good story, it would be great to have him reunited with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. Those guys go back to the Villanova days, and you already see the way Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart act together. They kind of have like a man crush on each other. It's kind of funny to watch them interact with their post-game shows. So I can imagine that times 30 if you bring in Donte to this mix. But I also see what Steve Popper is saying. I want to go big fish hunting. So even though for the short term, I would love Donte here and his 3-and-D style and his offensive rebounding and his high steal rate. I would love all of that. But at the end of the day, if you're telling me that he's going to cost me a bigger fish down the line, I'd rather wait for the bigger fish than to put my eggs in a basket, a small basket that's going to move the needle slightly, but not really move it to where we need it to be.